Moosin here, and pre-patch is upon us, bringing with it plenty of new content, but unfortunately even more bugs. Although it is no surprise to most, at this point it has brought a lot of people to voice their concerns about the expansion being ready. However, the good news is that Blizzard is actively making changes quickly to get the train back on the tracks, which is why going into the Guardian PvP pre-patch video, we're going to focus on PvP changes, Druid and Guardian changes, talent builds, and final thoughts going into the expansion. Like I had made mention of, things are changing rapidly in beta, so I just want to get to you the meat and potatoes now, and I will follow up with a whole Guardian PvP guide for Season 1. So let's jump into it. Right off the bat, we have some global PvP changes to be aware of. We have the addition now of the Battleground Blitz, which is the 8 vs 8 accelerated battleground, as well as the addition and much needed lever in all the arenas, which, if everyone clicks it, expedites the match to a 10-second countdown. You'll also see in arenas that Shadow Sight now highlights enemies that are stealthed with a red outline that can be seen through walls. We also have the Stacking Deserter debuff no-show that is applied when leaving a solo shuffle or Battleground Blitz match is now going to be applied account-wide. And wrapping up the global changes, albeit not PvP specific, all classes now have received a 60% stamina increase as well as increases to secondary stats and armor. Behold the mighty patch notes. What do they have to show us? Right, crap. Okay, well I guess this is what we get. Looking first now here at the Druid side of the trees, we have a fair amount of talents that have been moved in their locations, albeit not Guardian. We have the new talent Oak Skin, which provides survival instincts and bark skin a reduction of damage by an additional 10%. The new talent Fluid Form, where depending on the class specific spells, swap you into the corresponding form when used. The new talent Ursoc Spirit, where stamina in bear form is now increased by 10%. The new talent Instincts of the Claw, where Shred, Swipe, Break, Mangle, and Thrash increase the damage done by 5 and 10%. New talent, Lore of the Grove, where Moonfire and Sunfire damage increased by 5 to 10%. Skipping the talent's not relative to Guardian. We next have Improved Swipe, which was removed from the talent tree and its benefit added to Swipe by default. Then we have the biggest insult to injury, and that is that Moonkin form has been removed from the talent tree, unless you're specifically spec'd balance, which is a huge and maybe even critical hit to our utility as a druid. Feline Swiftness now increases the movement speed by 15% and is a 1-point talent, but also not listed here, it is actually moved to the second row of the tree, which makes it far easier to get to. Natural Recovery now increases healing received by 4% and no longer increases healing done. Astral Influence now increases the range of all your spells by 5 yards, but unfortunately no longer increases the melee ability range. Ursine Vigor now increases stamina and armor in bear form by 15% for 4 seconds, also making it a 1-point talent. Guardian Druid improved bear form stamina bonus decreased to 10%, was 20, which really is just weird to me since they gave us a new talent that increases our bear form by 10%. Like, why make it more complicated, Blizzard? Lyrica's Teaching is now a 2-point talent that grants 3 and 6% of various secondary stats. Forest Walk now increases your movement speed and healing received by 8% for 6 seconds, now a 1-point talent. Well-Honed Instincts effect now occurs once every 120 seconds, now a 1-point talent. Tireless Pursuit has also been removed from the talent tree. However, it has been moved to the PvP talents. Speaking of PvP talents and including a couple of last-minute changes, High Winds has also been redesigned, increasing the range of Cyclone and Typhoon and Entanglement by 5 yards. And Barefoot Armor is no longer reduced by 20% in PvP. Turning over to the Guardian side of the tree, this is where we see a lot of the tanking changes and general survivability changes that have hit all of the tanks. As I've made mention of earlier, Blizzard is actively pushing updates and making changes on the fly, so I would not be surprised if some of these get adjusted going forward. For example, they have already reverted the Frenzied Regeneration percentage reduction as well as renewal, with these PvP-oriented changes greatly hindering the defensive capability as Guardian as a whole. I'll go ahead and leave these up here on the screen for a bit, so you may with your own eyes take in the travesty. But like I said, optimistically, Blizzard is pushing a lot of changes and quickly. I'm sure we'll see more of this change as we get closer to the expansion going live. So now that we've seen the changes, let's look at how that affects the talent trees. You will also find my 2 suggested talent builds in the description below. Now, personally, I'm going to recommend the one you see on the screen, as it plays closely to Season 4's build and will segue easily into the hero talents as we begin to level again. Speaking of those hero talents, those do not unlock until the X-Pack goes live and we start leveling again. If you are curious about what those look like, please go and check my beta video out as I go into more detail on the hero talents. I'll link it at the end of this video. The last thing I would like to add about this talent build you see is that it does focus on the Arcane side of the tree, which will cross over into the hero tree Elune's Chosen. The second build in the description focuses on the physical aspect and crosses over into the other hero tree, Druid of the Claw. I'm just going to hold off at covering them in this video as they are still adjusting the hero talents in beta, but like I said, if you want to see them and get an idea, check my beta Guardian video. My final thoughts for Guardian PvP in the pre-patch might not come to be a surprise, but our talent trees continue to feel unorganic with forced dead skills to take, or requiring way too many points to flesh out important skills, like the 5 points for Incarnation. We are also seeing a lot of intense balancing on beta, meaning getting into the expansion I anticipate a lot of balancing issues for Guardian, and all the classes, especially when looking at the tanking nerfs that are being driven by PvE decisions, which includes the reduction of healing and defensive abilities. Though on the positive side of things, it's refreshing to see Blizzard so active into improving the game and respecting the player's time for count-bound rewards as well as rep, to even adding the arena lever, for example. Finally, there is still a lot to look forward to, like the new Battleground Deep Hall Ravine, albeit I do feel like it is missing some interactivity with the carts. Continuing with the positives, you still have the new Battleground Blitz, which is offering further player rewards. However, don't be surprised if you start seeing some Discord links in those higher bracket games. Well, there you have your Guardian PvP pre-patch update with important things to keep you in the PvP action and not bored before the expansion drops. Speaking of which, make sure you enable PvP mode when you start to level again to get the bonus XP. Other than that, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe because it seriously helps out a crap ton, and to do so means you won't miss the follow-up Season 1 guide coming soon, as well as my other crafting and gold guides. But seriously, thank you so much, and please come join me on Twitch where we will be giving away several WoW tokens for the month of August to celebrate the expansion's release. All being said, this has been Moosin, and I will see you on the next one.